can see the fans having the opportunity to ask questions about that investment. I think you've been very reasonable today, and you've tried to be as honest as you can with things, but I think the fans have also been very good in not pushing you too hard to try and get you to say about this, that and the other because of the confidentiality side. But we've got to build on this business of talking to each other, you know, and I would just like some commitment from you that you will actually do that.
Okay. I thought Terry was going to come on it. One of Terry's suggestions that was very successful at the Wolves was that they had a monthly meeting with the fans, a parliament I think you called it, didn't you? Quarterly rather than, sorry, not monthly, where you can bring anything to the table, whatever the subject, whether it's a ticketing problem, whether it's a catering problem, whether it's the disabled loos. And we intend to do that on a regular basis. We'll hold it at the club and we'll announce the dates, but you can come up in advance, drop us a note, drop us an email, and we'll have a look at whatever, and we can come back with some answers and even bring some staff members in who might appertain to your particular problem.
Hang on, one over here somewhere, I think. Jane.
Hi, Mike again. Can I just ask you about this investment without actually asking to breach confidentiality? The big headline that no doubt Steve will pick up on is when you actually said this investment will be millions. Are you talking a long-term commercial partnership that may possibly bring in millions? Or are you actually talking about a short-term investment of that nature? And secondly, you just said millions. Can you confirm we're talking British pounds and not Japanese yen?
I wish it was Swiss francs. Just one second. Let Ferry pick up on.
Yeah, we're talking about millions of UK sterling, and it's a long-term business plan, and it will also bring in additional sums to the football club, to the money we're talking about. So I think it's fabulous for the club, and I hope that you will as well when we get to the point that we can tell you what it is.
Okay, John. I'll come to you in a minute. Just very quickly on that point. Can you actually state whether it's a revision of an old offer or is it a brand new offer? You're not reaching confidentiality that way, are you?
No, I can't tell you that. No, because I think that gives away to what I'm trying to do is not put myself in a position where I can be accused of breach. So I'd rather, you know, it's a brand new offer to the club in terms of the agreement that's on the table is brand new.
I don't know about everybody else, but I've been slightly encouraged by today's meeting and what I've heard, and I just feel I've been one of those people that I don't want to attend home matches until there's been change. But I'm sort of I want to go back now. What has the club got in? Are you planning anything to sort of try and entice the people back? i.e., are you going to reduce the season tickets? I don't think that's enough. I think a lot of people would have bought season tickets at the April-May prices, but now they're up there. They're not sort of making any sort of any deals. Sort of, so don't have to say buy me. I want to go. Or what about the match day pricing? Maybe reduce that because that's gone quite expensive now. The actual walk-up price.
Okay.
And one thing my father found yesterday. He came through the turnstiles and was horrified that he got to pay £15 when he was playing £11 last year.
Yeah, so 4-1's not enough then at the moment. You missed a great game, by the way. Just as a as a side, but I think that in terms of
That was a stupid comment.
Perry, you
I was-
sports have been coming since 1967. It's bloody killing me.
I'm not denigrating that one little bit.
You are. You are. You can
Stupid comment.
Perry, you and Mike should be under no illusion of what you've got to do to entice all these people back in this room, back through to the club.
We're not under any
Go
illusion.
away from here today, and you should go and sit with your fellow directors or whoever you want, and you should start to put plans in action to make these people go back through them gates.
How many people did you have at your yesterday? Not many. Not many.
Not the wisest words, were they? I'm sure Perry didn't actually come across in that way. He said it wasn't in relation to the game yesterday. I wasn't there, so I don't know. I was trying to get my MG working, so I could have come here in my MG today. Failed. But what I would say is that I think the real commitment from Perry and Mike's point of view, and what we'll see me personally going back through there, is Mark Sims coming onto the board of Port Vale Football Club. And I think that never mind waiting to Christmas for Glenn, you know, and never mind Bill and all the rest, if we can get Mark Sims onto the board of Port Vale Football Club, I'll go back. And that's the one that I'm putting, that's I think where I'm judging it by, you know.
I'll second that.
But Dave,
Hang on,
there's just people who are in this room. There's a lot of people who are absent who just lost the will to go the Vale anymore. Those are the people you've got.
Yeah, you're quite right, that's the worry. This room isn't packed like it was prior to the AGM. And the worry is that people have just simply now have lost the faith and don't care enough now from there. And it's a huge job to get them back. The club have got to win. The club have got to be engaged. So the club have got to get investment in to buy better quality players to entice people to want to come back through, to think there's a chance of actually doing something. So that's the investment side sorted. But there's also the trust side. And I for one, and I think that a lot of us see Mark Sims as being a trustworthy individual, you know. And I think that if Mark comes onto the board, he brings the trust through to it. But you are quite right. I mean, it is really worrying, and they should be under no misapprehension, because the old John Amos down at Amwell Road Carpets there, although he didn't take his advert in the Sentinel because the Sentinel advertising is far too expensive, Steve, the actual number of people signed up on that wall had over 11,000 years of watching Port Vale. That is an incredibly sad figure. 11,000 years of watching Port Vale, and we aren't coming back through there. But the one thing I would say is, I would lay the reason for that at the door of Bill Bratt, rather than the people who are here today, you know.
Okay, comment here from Dave. Was there a question, Justin?
Yeah, just want to make a quick comment. Like the phone on the front row here said, we all want to go back to Vale, which we do. Could we have some sort of offer, a sort of a season ticket, up until the date when Glenn Oliver's said he's going to resign? Then if he doesn't, then we'll pick up again.
We're talking about December, obviously. There'll be a half-year season ticket.
There'll be an open until he goes.
What we've decided to do is hold season ticket prices at June levels now indefinitely. Yeah, we'll have a look at that.
He is the problem.
I don't want to go while he's still there, full stop.
Well, that's going to be December then, Mike. That will be December. Can I just say, it's not within the gift of the board to remove a director, if you know. As I said earlier on. One second.
You've told us the protesters have cost you a package. It isn't a fraction of what Glenn Oliver's going to cost between now and December. It's fully tenfold. Get rid of him.
With regards, you've already done it with Mickey Adams. You've got a gentleman sat next to you named Mr. Deakin. Why not get Glenn Oliver to actually sponsor him to take his own position on the board
that weight is gone. And he's out of the way tomorrow. You could do that overnight. There's nothing wrong with that. Why not go ahead with it?
Glenn sponsored me onto the board of directors.
Yes, why not? And that way, Glenn Oliver's gone. Oh, Dave, get Dave.
You know, okay, can I? Hold it. Fine, we'll ask the question of Mr. Oliver.
That way, he's out of the way tomorrow.
It's his call. That's not a gift of Mike and I's to give. And that we'll ask Mr. Oliver if he's prepared to do that.
Well, if he's prepared to go in December, he's obviously made his decision. He wants to go. So, for the good of the club, how many people in this room would go if Brat and Oliver were gone tomorrow? And Mark Sims was on the board.
How much money is that? We've got a game Saturday.
Hold on. Listen, we've already said 3-4 times it can't work like that because of the quality.
Yes, it can.
It cannot. It cannot.
You did it with
work.
Mickey Adams.
No, it cannot work.
Seriously, folks, what Mike's actually saying is there's always got to be 4 directors. What you've just said is quite true.
Oliver's gone.
Yeah, and the thing is, what he's just said is that if Glenn Oliver was prepared to use his shareholding to sponsor Ferry Deakin onto the board, that would be fine because that would remain 4, you know. You know?
There's a gentleman sat next to me who I'm sure would step into the breach. You can actually get Nigel Meakin sponsored onto the board. That way Nigel takes no personal risk. He's actually taking up Mr. Oliver's. I'm sure Mr. Oliver's a die-hard
Actually,
fan.
Mike's just said to me that Glenn actually hasn't got the £50,000. He's got slightly under £50,000.
He has.
So
Glenn Oliver has £50,000 worth of shares,
but
according to the share register.
You know, so yeah, you're absolutely spot on that if he could do that, and there's no reason to. But there's then the business about Bill, and that would have to be addressed on the basis